Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Deuce Season 2, Episode 4. It's called What Big Ideas. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, obviously, the title refers to something that Harvey says to Candy, where he's paraphrasing what big eyes you have, with the what big ideas you have. And Candy's still trying to get her movie made. She's working on the story, the script, or well, she attempts to work on a script and very quickly
And
realizes,
then goes, screw it, outsource.
yes, I'm not a writer. I can't do this. And she hires some fresh film student dude to to come in and write the script based on her ideas. Fine idea. Although the end of the episode kind of like says, okay, we'll have a script for sort of the setups, but the end of the episode kind of implies that she might be warming up to the idea of letting the actors be more comfortable to get a better performance by just saying what they feel, what it feels natural to them. You know, a bit of improv
Yeah.
rather than strict dialogue. And this all comes out from great humour because Larry is trying his hat. We opened the episode actually. I was laughing. The opening shot of the episode with him doing the poses was already making me
That was
laugh.
great. Yeah.
He's doing all these big cheesy grins, and my favorite part of all this, I think, is the fact that Darlene's kind of there as his manager almost, just kind of sitting all over.
She's just there, just do what he says.
Yeah, reading a book, munching on some snacks.
She's like so casual. Like, I don't really care what's going on.
Yeah, and then the guy's like, "Hey, you're here for headshots. Give me some intent. Stop with the smiling." She starts laughing. She's like, you look angry. You look terrified, scary, sexy, scary, but scary. And then the guy's like, "Right, okay, drop the pads. Yes, after all, these are headshots for a porn shoot. We have to see everything." And he's hesitant. He's like, I spent time picking out these leather trousers here.
Spent $59.99 on those.
He was very specific about that, yes. Which in 1970s money, even more so.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably too much. Probably more than they're worth.
Hell, I probably would spend $59.99 on a pair right now. But which is why
I definitely wouldn't.
in 70s money, that's a lot. So, but he's hesitant. And what I think is interesting about this is obviously we had the scene with him and Candy a few episodes ago about him giving up control, and the idea that he's been told to show the goods for work. Now he's the one who's having to show himself, and obviously it's not to the same extent that the girls have had to do, but it's very symbolic. I feel this scene of him actually making this choice and saying screw it and taking off the trousers. It's almost like an acceptance that times have changed and he has to do different things. And obviously he's already been trying to an extent, but this was the line. This was him actually taking the step over, if you will,
Yeah.
in terms of his emotions. And what I thought was funny, it was kind of hiding his actual dick, right? It was kind of just showing, you see the trousers on the floor, and the photographer, has a line about it being big.
Reacting to it, yeah.
And I was like, this is weird if we don't see it. Just given how much we see in this show, it's weird if we don't see this. But to the show's credit, it was holding it back to the final shot. And this is the thing. I feel like if you tell the actor, right, that, oh, by the way, that shot where we finally saw your dick was hilarious, that might sound hurtful, but it's got nothing to do with the dick itself. It's to do with how they present it and how they build up to it, and then his cheesy
it just
grin
sits on it for ages before it goes into the titles.
It's the smile. It's the way he's smiling at the camera as he's doing this
Yeah.
pose. It broke me. It was really well done comedy. That opening
It was.
scene. It was really good.
'Cause,
Comedy
no,
with the
I
point.
agreed. I was like, are we not seeing this? This is weird because it feels verging on sexist at that point to be like, no, okay, we'll show you all the girls all the time, but no, not the dudes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, here you go, right in your face.
Yeah, right in your face in all its glory. So no, that was a really good opening scene. And but at the end of the episode, Candy is trying to work in this. She's talking to Harvey. Harvey's skeptical and he's making fun of like all of her big ideas because she's like, "Oh, let's go up north and shoot in an actual forest. I want trees, damn it." And he's like, "Well, we need night lights for that. We don't have those. We need all these extra things, and it's all this
Budget
extra
is
money."
spiraling.
Yeah.
She wants to rent a cabin and then get all the crew and cast to stay in the cabin.
I appreciate the ambition, quite frankly. I know the feeling of this.
Yeah.
There may have been once
realistically,
upon a time doing student films where some crazy ideas like this might have entered my head of like, oh, let's just go somewhere. Let's just rent a house for a week and shoot something somewhere else.
and then you looked and were like, nah, screw that.
Well, if you're really good at speaking to people, you can convince all the cast to chip in to pay for it. And it almost happened. It almost happened. I'm just saying. because
So what you're saying is you are not good enough to convince them.
I was close. Like I feel like, see, the thing at that stage in your life though, when everyone's a student and they're all just, the idea of being in something good is more important to them than being paid. Right? It just that's more of a,
yeah. But then you realize they're all students. They're all poor.
they're all poor. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. That everyone's poor at that age. That's the biggest problem. But I appreciate the notion. Also, Candy's having a romance, if you want to call it that, with the other editor dude. Very casually, just the way it sort of introduced it in this episode. He's just lying in the bed, and then later on they're kind of flirting in the office, and Harvey's just like, "Oh, come on, guys."
He's just like, really, while we're trying to do work.
Yeah. If Ethy doesn't even acknowledge it, he just kind of complains that he's having to pay for a writer. He's like, "We're paying for a writer who doesn't work here already. What?"
Yeah.
But no. So she had one else in the middle with her son that brings up the idea that he, like, there's a risk of him maybe like seeing her in something, because he's starting to get to that age where he's looking at porn, and his grandmother's upset that she found a penthouse under his mattress. And Candy,
she's like, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah, as you'd expect, Candy's like, yeah, that's pretty normal for a kid at his age. You know, put it back. Put it back. Let him have his magazine. Poor boy.
Yeah. It's like, she's like, do you know how hard it is to come across those at that age? Just let him have it.
My favourite part was, which is, unless you want to keep a hold of it, and then the look that she gives her, implying that she has any sexual like hunger at all. Like, she's appalled at the notion. What? You telling me I get horny? How dare you? How dare you? I don't get horny. I'm an old woman.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was funny. But coming back to the comedy, because Larry's actually in a scene. He's a prisoner.
Prisoner.
Yeah. I was looking for the word. I was going to say convict.
Prisoner Dickie.
Convict felt too, I don't know, formal. Prisoner. He's got the classic black and white stripes on, all the rest of it, and you've got the sexy lady cop, and that's kind of the scene. And he's a terrible actor. He can't get the lines out.
Oh, it's atrocious.
For the life of him.
5 sentences and just like, nope.
Yeah. And Joe, it's funny, the entire time I was thinking, it feels uncomfortable with these lines. I'm like, just let him say what he wants to say.
The lines.
Yeah. Let him just say his own lines. And that's kind of what they get to. It's actually, and Joe, what I think is really interesting about this is that things are changing. Darlene's kind of taking care of him, because she comes over to Candy and says, "Hey, don't make this a big thing, but he's not really good at reading, so I usually go over his lines with him." And she's basically mothering him here and like making sure that he's not mistreated.
How long till he realizes and hates it?
His ego might get hurt, and that's a potential problem, absolutely. And I thought it was interesting that, you know, it's this the complex relationship like some of the pimps have with the girls, where like there is this mutual kind of need for each other in some ways that kind of exists, even if they are being taken advantage of, but she is trying to help him, and I thought that was an interesting little it was kind of sweet almost, her trying to like look out for him in this scene.
Yeah, you kind of have a similar thing going on with Cece and Laurie in some of the other scenes.
Yeah, but
not the same, but a similar style of relationship.
To compare it to mothering, Larry is kind of your kid that you've got some hope for, but he's a bit dim. Cece is the kid who might burn down the school, and you should be terrified that he's going to stab the mother in the neck. Right? That's the difference between the two of them.
But in both times, you have the girls being like, "Okay, I'll sort it out."
Yeah, I'll calm him down before we bring him back to set next time. Yeah, that was literally a line of dialogue.
Yeah.
At one point with Laurie, but you know, she has this idea. She's like, just let them do the lines. Just let them do the lines. And sure enough, and actually, as funny as the opening was, I don't think I laughed as hard as she tells him to do the improv, and the actress is kind of like, improv, and then he's like, Larry, just say whatever you need. She goes up and whispers to him, just say whatever you need to get her to come out of this cell and take her clothes off. And he turns around and goes, brace yourself. And the actress looks terrified. She says this little squeal. She was like, like she's just scared.
And then he just comes out with it, and it's like, yeah, that'll do the trick.
And what's funny about it is that I love that it's the fear here is nothing to do with the sex. Like, the sex is something they already knew they were doing. The fear here is the acting. And I love that, because most people, I mean, obviously most people have like a problem with being on the camera and, you know, being in a public, you know, viewpoint like that. But But most people are terrified of other people seeing them naked. They're terrified of doing sex, in front of anyone, that kind of thing. But it's one thing to say, no, that's the thing they're used to. They're normal. That's normal to them. Like, they don't care. It's the acting properly that's terrifying them, and that's funny to me. So
it's funny.
That's really cool. So
that had a lot of funny moments.
It did have a lot of fun. It had a lot of dark, serious moments as well in the other plots, but this plot had some rollicking good times. So
definitely.
Good. We mentioned Laurie and Cece. It's probably worth jumping over to them and getting their stuff done. Basically, Cece might be the guy who invents the POV porn scene.
I thought that was weird.
I was like, really? I mean, I know obviously this is not necessarily like it's based on the general truth of what was going on at the time, but it's not like these characters are actually directly based on.
They're not based on people, as far as I know.
As far as I know, but I mean, if you tell me a pimp in the 70s came up with the POV scene, sure. And it's funny because on the one hand I'm thinking, why wasn't that the first thing that a porn movie tried? But then on the other hand I'm thinking, well, POV scenes in movies weren't even really much of a thing at that point at the time, because if you keep in mind, this is set in what, 76, 77 this season.
Yeah.
This is around the same time because Rocky was 76, and Rocky, that didn't have a POV scene, but Rocky was the first big movie to have a Steadicam shot in it. And they go up and down the stairs, and that wowed everyone at the time. And then Halloween was the movie that had the Steadicam POV shot. And obviously it's not the same thing as a porn scene, but I'm wondering if the reason why POV didn't immediately come to people's minds is because regular movies weren't really doing it yet that much.
I don't know if it's so much that it's just that they're trying so hard to be actual movies, even though they all know, this is a porn flick. They're like, no, this is still a legit movie. Even the cheap ones, they still release them in theaters as, okay, no, this is a movie.
Well, that's because at the time they had to release them. There was no...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they are doing traditional things of, okay, we shoot from this angle. They're still following a lot of those rules, even for the porn.
Yeah, because basically they're failed filmmakers, right? Like the idea that Harvey's actually a bit of a film buff and would like to be making real movies, but he's fallen into this, and this is what he does.
Exactly.
So he still cares about everything else, even though he still has the attitude. No, it has to be about the sex. It has to always be about the sex. But he still wants to talk about themes, and he still wants to talk about why he's doing these shots and all the rest of it. So but hey, so that was interesting. But yeah, he basically gets really angry because he's laughed at. Does CC when he suggests this? It's actually later on the director kind of laughs at him.
And in our heads we're going, you idiot.
Yeah, that's
gold.
This is like the most popular form of porn, right? Get on it right now.
It's like you can be trailblazing, go on, taking the industry by storm.
Yeah.
And they laugh him out the room. He's just CC's ahead of his time.
Yeah. It's also easier. There's almost no editing involved. You just do it all in one take. Go for it.
Yeah.
This is streamline the entire thing. Also, some amusement here is the guy was trying to fluff himself. They're having this argument about the camera guy who's breathing too heavily, and Laurie thinks he's getting off.
Comically breathing.
Yeah, she thinks he's getting off, and he's been turned on by the scene, but he's actually got asthma. But she's annoyed at him for making noise, and they're trying to get back to the next take, and the guy's try to get himself up and going. Yeah.
And he's like, all right, okay, I'm good. And then 20 seconds later, it's like, all right, cut.
Yeah, the big guy knocks over the palm tree. So it's a whole thing. So, but of course, Laurie goes to her potential new agent, who wants to represent her, doesn't want CC involved, but kind of comes to this compromise where they're both kind of still with her. But when she's representing her for jobs, CC's not allowed to be there, and she's like, "I'll tell him if you want," and she's like, "No, don't do that." Are you going to tell him? No. And they're left kind of in this stalemate.
I did like her point of, it's like, well, when you were just a whore and you were having sex with someone, he's not in the room there.
Yeah.
And he was fine with that, leaving you just to and trusting you to bring back the money. So why should he be there all the time there now?
No, it makes sense. But of course, again, all of it, this is just CC trying to take control. And what I thought was interesting, though, is CC for a second there with his idea was kind of not doing the same thing as Larry, but he was kind of adapting almost a little bit. He was having ideas how to improve this, almost like he was trying to be relevant.
It's the first time he's felt like he was actually into it, rather than just sat in the background making snide comments.
Yeah, but of course, when he tries to interact and tries to give an idea, he's shot down and then later laughed at, which hurts his feelings, hurts his ego. Which again, it's all about the ego.
Just making him worse.
Yeah. How dare anyone hurt his ego?
Exactly.
Toxic ego, masculinity bullshit, all that stuff. But
What a bunch of pricks.
so yes, well, in the porn
No, I
industry,
know.
literally, yes. So yeah, so that was that was Lawrence season. So big thing with the crime boss, we the crime war. We know that it's been a few weeks since the fire, and then one of Rudy's places gets hit. Not the main one that Bobby works at, but one of the others. And the girl actually dies. One of the girls actually is left upstairs and burns to death. And this kind of ripples out because I actually got really confused for a second because Bobby's at the hi hat drinking about it. And he's all sad and he's talking to Victor. And I know in the past we've said, surely Abby doesn't know about what Vincent's up to, or that he's involved with that stuff. And I was confused at first because I thought, oh, maybe she does, because she's standing right there with Dorothy, and they're they're sitting there. But then Bobby starts to imply that, because she knows about Bobby's into it. She knows Bobby works there, and that's whatever, right? She's not happy about it clearly, but it's not Vincent. But then he starts to imply that Vincent should also feel guilty about it, as if Vincent shouldn't be on a high horse. That he's not horse. That he isn't completely guilt free. And Bobby tries to say, "Oh, I'll look out for the girls. I give her a place to stay because she get kicked out of her apartment. So I give her, take one of the rooms. You can stay there until you find a place, and so on."
Yeah.
He's like, in his own weird way, he cares. But Abby's like giving Vincent the eye, looking at him. And then, later on, Vincent tries to arrange with Tommy to, hey, Black Frankie'll give you the take now from the parlours. I want out of that. And Tommy's like, you want out? What? And then he gets distracted because Black Frankie points out this guy from the rival gang. He's like, hey, that dude, you're looking for him.
And something.
You knew something bad was about to happen. I thought he was going to stab him. But he shoots him in the head.
Just really abruptly out of nowhere in the middle of the street.
Really abruptly. And do you know what I liked about it? I liked how terrifying it was. It was this sudden horror where all of a sudden, like, Vincent's like terrified sitting in that seat. And it looked really violent.
We're going, oh yeah, something's going to happen. But even knowing that, it still comes out of nowhere and surprises you. And that's what's scary about it. Like, that he didn't even seem to snap. He just did it.
Gunshots.
There was no build-up.
Gunshots are all like swearing. If you don't swear a lot throughout your entire thing and then you drop one F-bomb, that F-bomb has a lot of weight to it. This is not a show where we've had like gunfights and we've had, cops storming the streets and having exchanges with criminals.
Is this the first gunshot?
It may be. And I think that's partly why it's so effective. Not just because it's so brutal in the way the guy's head flies back and
there's been very little violence as a whole, actually. There's been a couple of key instances against some of the whores in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
Like a couple of key instances, but they were spread out still, and then we had obviously Leon at the end of the season.
Yeah. And we had CC at the start of the end of the first episode.
Yeah. So we had that, and then we had the end of the season, start and end of the season. There wasn't too much just outright violence in the middle that I recall. Nothing, not that anything that really sticks with me.
So. Yeah, so it was a really good scene. It was really effective, and it really changed the tone of the moment. It really just like, okay, maybe Vincent, reconsider what you were about to ask, because he might not be happy.
Because now this guy's terrifying and might just shoot you at any moment.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so and we know the cops are being are assembling. Goldman's whole task force. But and Alston's got no time for it because, as he points out, half those cops are on the take. Half those cops are already warning everyone.
We already saw them warn them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Karate Kid.
Hey, next Tuesday, we're coming in. Just clear out.
Yeah, clear out. Cool. Make sure there's maybe some people to arrest in this one place so we can show something for it. But everything's arranged. Everything's okay. Collateral damage. Here's what we can afford to lose, kind of thing.
Yeah, we give up one place, we keep the other 12, whatever.
Yeah.
Hypothetically. It's like, yeah, everyone, keep the cops happy. They get something. We're still fine. All right, we lose one. But got to do it every so often.
So you've got that going, but you've got Abby when he gets back home that night. Abby's lying there in bed, is like, need to arrange a funeral because Dorothy and the guy Paul's the other dude. I can't remember what that guy's name is. The guy that's with Dorothy.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. I want to say Dave. But that might not be right. It just looks like a Dave.
It's a shot in the dark, but sure, Dave. But they're actually looking for something else. They're arranging their plan, their initiative to help out with meds and things like that. But they end up they have one photo of the girl because no one can ID the girl who died. They don't know her real name. She was known as Kitty, I think.
Kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they don't know what the cops have her as a Jane Doe. They don't know who she is. But they've got this photo, and they try and find people from schools that might recognise her. They know where she came from roughly, and sure enough, this girl recognises her. And they go to the girl's parents, and the dad's like so like unrepentant. I mean,
Wants nothing to do with it.
He calls Dorothy a whore for a start, and then he's like, "Well, you're a bit late to help now, aren't you?" And Dorothy, like after the door shuts, shouts through, "Hey, your daughter's lying unidentified in a morgue in New York. Like, go." But so he's already abandoned.
Clearly doesn't.
So again, it's this idea that she's fighting against like all this turmoil, like as hard as it is for her upstream battle to try and change things, so that was a really hard hitting scene. Obviously, Vincent not outright admitting that he has some involvement with the parlors, even though Abby's clearly suspecting it. And of course, we had the scene earlier on where he was kind of flirting with a photographer friend, and Abby kind of shows up knowing that something might happen, just to sort of remind both of them that she's aware of what's going on.
Yeah, but then she mentioned, "Oh no, we've both got our rules." Like it implies that okay, they're allowed to certain degrees, but maybe not with her friends.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not quite entirely sure what the rules are anymore, because I mean, obviously the last time we heard them speak about any of this stuff was in season 1, which was years ago in the story. So
yes,
I get the impression that if they have been doing anything recently, it's been a long time since they actually have. Like, maybe, like, yeah, they had those rules once upon a time, but over time it just kind of became a normal relationship without even saying anything, that kind of thing. Because it felt like there was some kind of jealousy and guilt kind of in those scenes. Yeah. But, at the end, it's like, that's not what it's about. Like, what was Bobby saying? And he's like, no, he was drunk. I just want to make sure this gets done right. So we end the episode with this kind of heartbreaking scene at the funeral where no one's there except Dorothy and Abby with Vincent, and then Bobby's further back. And they're in the rain.
Yeah, and we learned that the girl was underage as well. She's only 16.
Yeah, we didn't.
Which and Bobby, mentions earlier in the bar that when he couldn't remember his name, he's like, "No, she showed me ID. She was 19." But I don't remember much more than that. Obviously, it kind of been that. I mean, it could have been a decent fake. Older sister. Could have been anything. But
yeah, maybe Bobby's
very thorough.
Maybe Bobby's just not the best person to check ID. Clearly, he's not very good at it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
But no, we end with a shot in the rain, and Vincent's sort of guilt. Abby kind of knowing that he's guilty to some extent. She doesn't know how guilty he is, but he's standing there in the rain, and it's him walking away as the camera goes up. What I liked about it, it was very reminiscent of how the final shot of I think it was the second episode in season 1. It was a very similar shot of him walking down the street, and the camera kind of went up.
I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of the same shot, but here they're in the cemetery and it's in the rain, and he's walking away. His hair's drenched, soaking wet. It's a whole thing. So really sad ending. So when the bass kicks in at the end of this one, it's not like a F yeah moment. It's like a the realities of the Deuce kind of sinking in here. So no. So I mean, I think one of the things we were saying a lot in season 1 was the idea that eventually the regrets of the being tied to the mob would come round, and this is maybe the first big sign of that, where, oh shit.
Yeah, and obviously now we know we're only getting 3 seasons. I don't know if we spoke about that last week. I can't remember.
We did in the news. I don't know if we spoke about it on the Deuce reviews.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this. Obviously, it got renewed for 1 more season, and that's going to be it. So, it's going to be a finite thing. They know where they're going. That puts this at roughly the halfway mark.
It does, yeah.
Assuming that the 3rd season is roughly the same amount of episodes again.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. So, okay, so halfway, and now things are just starting to take a turn. That makes sense to me from a story perspective.
It does, no. And it does, I mean, I think the whole thing does feel like one big story. I mean, as much as it was a time jump, it does just feel like...
It's flowed so naturally, yeah.
Yeah. So, we have a couple of other little things. Of course, we have Frankie try to run the dry
cleaners, yeah.
Failing miserably.
Yeah.
He's still with his wife, who's still a stripper.
Yep.
Okay, just reestablishes that stuff. So that's cool.
We have one of the girls. Looks like she overdoses.
Yeah, she overdoses. And yeah, so there's a couple of old plot beats here or there from other plots that are kind of around. Same with Rudy, like him acknowledging, we should probably retaliate about this. I know we want to try and stay out the public eye, but we should retaliate.
It feels like season 3 could be an all-out gang war.
Yeah, Yeah, and I don't think that'll be as much the focus, because obviously I think it'll still focus on our characters with this going on around them.
But it'll be about
Yeah.
how this affects them.
Yeah. Because obviously Paul as well is setting up his new place. Lot of just basic, wiring problems, plumbing problems, doing all these things. They're picking tiles for the bathroom.
Yeah, the main thing here is, he gets told about how Rudy said to give him all the facts. And he's like, oh, yeah, this is it. He wants me to be informed. And, it's like, oh, make sure I'm aware. It feels like that underhanded threat.
Underhanded threat so that he'll eventually say, you know what, okay, you can have a cut of this place. And
yeah. And I don't know how true that is, because, I don't know, it would have been really easy for Rudy to just go, no, you got to do it through me.
It felt genuine enough in the scene, but he's also a very high-up mob boss, so he's obviously very good at what he does, so...
Exactly. Maybe his plan is, okay, no, he wants them to come to him willingly.
Yeah. But it's the same with Vincent's motives, actually, for wanting out at the parlours. Like, I'm not entirely sure if it's all guilt or if it's more about Abby finding out that he's involved. Like, is it a mix of both? Is it mostly guilt? Because if it's mostly guilt, then it's more genuine. If it's about being caught, then it's, not quite.
Yeah, no,
so...
I'm going to go with it being to do with Abby, to be honest. I think it's not being caught. Because him, not wanting to be the one, collecting the take and doing that gives him distance. But that won't make him feel less guilty. Not really. He's still taking the money.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
it's about the deniability of involvement, almost.
That's fair. Yeah, he doesn't like that the cop sees him when he's on his way in.
Yeah.
Doesn't like that he's been associated with this place at all. But it's all going to come back to bite him. Got that feeling.
Yeah, obviously. We've known that since the start.
Absolutely. If we missed any characters, I always feel like we miss characters because there's so many. As well, we should mention the reason why the police station, the police department, is so willing to go along with Goldman's plans and the city's plans is because it's connected to the mayor, and because of that, it's getting a budget. So they're just looking at it as, in fact, one of the cops even shouts out, "Welcome to the overtime train." They just want paid more. That's all it is.
Yeah. Can't blame them.
Yeah. It's not about they actually think hey, if it'll work. It's just, no. We need a new coffee maker. This will get money in the department. So play ball is basically the.
I'm on their side. They don't care. They just, it's like, well, we might as well.
Yeah. Because I get that Alston's kind of a bit more honourable in that, but at the same time, I don't know what he's going to accomplish by not being involved. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does, because it's just a time waster, I suppose.
Because it's not so much that... Because often when this kind of dilemma comes up for characters, it'll be a choice of like either doing the good thing or doing the bad thing. But going along with this isn't actually a bad thing. He just thinks it's a waste of time. He knows it's pointless.
Yeah. That's it. The problem with it is that he could be doing something better, something that is good, rather than just indifferent.
As opposed to, here's some dirty money to look the other way. It's not like that at all. He's not like he wouldn't actually.
They're actually trying to accomplish something. They're gonna fail, but they're trying.
Yeah, and he just knows it's futile, and it's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, like you wouldn't be doing anything bad if you did just go along with it. You'd just be doing your job. You wouldn't actually be involved in anything bad by doing it.
No, if anything, the only thing that can happen is they either it works. And great, they're a success, or it fails and it was a waste of money. That's it. They're not harming anyone.
Yeah, but I guess that speaks to his character that he's not up for playing the game in that way.
Yeah, he's not up for just doing nothing and wasting the time. He'd rather be, doing something proper and using his time wisely and going to helping someone else.
And I think because obviously there's a lot of parallels to draw between this and then the initiative that Abby and Dorothy are kind of trying to enact for the girls, and does that one have more hope? Does that work better? Because in a weird way, it's kind of a mix between the idea that it's like a citywide thing they're trying to do, but at the same time, it reminds me more of what Alston does in the sense that Alston sees more value in just taking the cases one at a time because he can personally help individual people as they come up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what the plan with Abby and Dorothy kind of is. They kind of want to be there for the girls and try and give them help and give them a support to get out of the life on their own.
Yeah, but like I say, I don't think the police are doing anything wrong. They're doing the best they can.
Well, except the ones who are dirty and actively working with the crime.
Oh, sure, those ones. But I mean, it's just the general, the initiative as a whole, and what they do, what they're supposed to be doing, what they're being paid to do.
Because another big parallel we talked about a lot in season 1, and I still think a lot of it's applicable, is the parallels between Vincent having a business and growing that and it developing to Candy growing and developing and having a business, and even to an extent Abby's journey of having independence and growing what she's doing. They're all kind of growing into very new phases, and arguably Vincent's in the one that might not last because it is built on what it's built on.
Yeah, I think Candy's smart. We know she wants to do this stuff without mob money. She wants to get legit.
Yeah.
And Paul's the same, right? He wants to go legit. It's whether or not they're going to get away with it. Essentially, is the potential tragedy. Do they get dragged down anyway?
Yeah, I wonder if part of the tragedy of this is that Vincent's going to be to blame for a lot of people not achieving things because he's tied them all to something like this. He's tied them all to the mob, and because of that, Paul's going to go down. Because of that, not Candy, because Candy's very separate to that plot, but.
But we know a lot of the porn films are funded by mob money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, there is a link still.
So hey, but as per usual, solid episode. Can't really fault much in it. But that was it. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel and the show and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv and you can do that over there. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?